From Screen Junkies Studios in the heart of Los Angeles, this is Screen Junkies Movie Fights. Now your host, Andy Signore.
Greetings, Screen Junkies, and welcome to another awesome episode of Movie Fights. I'm so excited to have this wonderful panel, and we're going to be fighting some amazing fights today, including cast the all-male Ghostbusters reboot, who should direct the next Mission Impossible movie, which was already they're already working on MI6, which I'm kind of excited for because I liked MI5 a lot. Also pitched the final Hugh Jackman movie. He went to Twitter. Hugh Jackman said, how do you want to see Wolverine go out? We're going to have our panelists tell us how they see it happening. As always, if you don't like a battle or you're not interested in it, don't leave. Just skip it. Bottom right-hand corner. You can pick your fight and go on to the next fight. So please stay tuned. You can't do that, sadly, on iTunes, but you can listen to us on iTunes. So please go subscribe to our RSS feed, comment, rate, subscribe, all that stuff they do on iTunes. I think it's similar to YouTube, but please show us some love there. We appreciate it. All right, let's meet our gladiators for today.
Today's fighters are Chloe Dykstra, actress, host, and cosplayer, first-time fighter. Trisha Hershberger, YouTuber and actress, third appearance. Alicia Malone, co-host of Profiles, 3 wins.
I love that guitar solo. Oh, welcome, guys. That's a good intro, right? First up, Alicia Malone, 3 wins, man. I forgot. You're crushing it these days. Are you probably making these people nervous? Are you excited to be back?
I'm nervous. I mean, apologies for these eye bags. I barely got any sleep last night because these 2 ladies have serious geek cred. So I am not expecting an easy fight at all.
They do, and I'm excited. I'm excited to have you here, Miss Chloe Dykstra from. You're working on Cosplay Closet and Escapist, so much cool stuff. Thanks for being here. We're happy. Fans were requesting you. I'm so glad we could finally make you be here.
That makes me feel special. What also makes me feel special is hearing my name in that voice.
That's epic voice, man.
Coolest thing ever.
John Bailey knows how to make it all sound epic. No, I agree. It's so fun. He does my voicemail. I'm so happy that he did that.
So cool.
It has a soundtrack and everything. And next to Trisha, I'm so glad to have it. Trisha Hershberger, you're so much stuff you're going on at Escapist. You're open Superfan builds, Take My Money. So much fun stuff. You're busy.
Much fun stuff. Yeah, super busy. But definitely happy to be here again. I feel like it is finally my time. Hopefully, I don't know. You ladies definitely are going to bring it, and I'm a little nervous, but I'm feeling positive today. I think it was my cup of coffee. I don't know, something.
So as Rebecca Black sang, "This Is Your Moment." Yes.
It has to be Rebecca Black.
I don't know. It's the one I remember.
Okay.
Sorry.
It could also be not Friday.
Yeah.
Friday's the more. I'm a serious Rebecca Black fan because I pulled her second single out.
That's B-side.
First time I've ever heard that phrase.
I didn't even know she had a second single.
We did a
Shame
viral.
on you.
We did a viral video where we did the no auto tune. Look it up. My moment, no auto tune. It did very well. But I've listened to that song a million times. That's why I love Rebecca Black. I am a fan. Next up on the fan cam, we're glad to have her back. It's Miss Movies.
Hey, I'm here.
This is your second appearance in the fan cam. We're happy to have you. And you brought treats again. If you guys didn't see or didn't have homemade fudge, wow! Thank you.
Yes. I'm really hoping that I don't have a minute of screen time from JTE this time.
Oh,
that was really embarrassing.
That was very strange last time. JT sort of kept you on for about 20 seconds too long.
Way too long.
No, I mean, of course, it's always great to have you on camera, but we were talking and you weren't talking, and it was a little long. But JT, props to JT in the booth.
Yay, JT.
And Jason, behind the scenes crew. We love you guys. Thank you for the help. All right, guys, what do you say? Should we get to this? You guys know the rules, how this works. Chloe, you're new. Let me remind you, I'm basing, no matter what YouTube and Twitter tells me, they're wrong. I'm basing this on your arguments. So you got to tell me why your movie's the best and why theirs isn't. It's about facts, passion, creativity. Tell me why, and that's what's going to make you win. Any questions?
Is there like a guy that's going to come around and give us back rubs between the rounds?
Oh, we should figure that out. Maybe Jason? No?
Great idea.
Yeah.
He just shrugs.
All right, let's do this.
Okay.
Now let's do this!
This is where we fight!
Fight!
Round 1. Drew Pearce, screenwriter, confirmed that there's a script being developed for a male Ghostbusters movie alongside Paul Feig's all-female Ghostbusters, which would eventually lead into an Avengers-like crossover with both Ghostbusters team. It seems like a lot of Ghostbusters, but whatever. Ivan Reitman's denying this. We don't know if it's true or not, but we thought this would be a fun fight. We actually did this in our very first movie fights. We had our panelists pitch their female Ghostbusters cast. We now know officially who they are, but I thought this might be fun for us today. Jay Bowman 98 agreed, and he asked on Twitter, cast the male Ghostbusters reboot movie. Tatum and Pratt were the studios. Those are the ones the studio wants. You can use those, anybody you want. But Alicia, we're starting with you. And I think we have some visual aids to help. We can cue up your team. Why don't we see who Alicia's picks were and you tell us.
Okay, presenting the most awesome Ghostbusters team around. So with Channing Tatum, Joel McHale, Michael Pena, and Bobby Moynihan.
Wow.
Now, the thing that I loved about the original Ghostbusters was how different each of the four guys were, but they all worked together so well. They had different comedic energies, but somehow it worked. So that's what I thought about when I was casting my team. So starting with Channing Tatum, he's the guy that the studio wants. He most likely will produce the film as well. But beyond that, he has such a likability on screen and a great comedic talent. We've seen that with 21 Jump Street. And I love when he plays these really sweet, innocent characters. So that's how I imagine him in this world. Then to offset that, you have Joel McHale, who has such a great sarcastic sense of humor. He's also someone I feel like needs a bigger shot in movies. He's been great in Community. We've seen him in other movies before, but this would really cement him as a comedic star. Then you have Michael Pena, who stole Ant-Man for me. I thought he was so funny, all his scenes. I loved the way he narrated what was happening. We've seen him in comedic movies before, as well as dramas. One thing he's good at is working within a team. So I love him, and I want to see him do more comedies after seeing Ant-Man. And then finally, like the original Ghostbusters and like the female version of Ghostbusters, you got to look at Saturday Night Live for the next big comedic talent. And I love Bobby Moynihan. I think he is the best male cast member they have at the moment. He steals the show. I love Drunk Uncle. He's also really good at being a supporting player in sketches. So I want to see him do more movies. And together, I think all these guys, they fit together. They look like a good team. They're all about the same age. And I can imagine them against the 4 female Ghostbusters we have.
Fun team up. Chloe, let's see your picks.
Okay, so my picks, I'm so excited about this. Oh, I love seeing them all together. So we're going to start off with Chris Pratt because everybody loves Chris Pratt. I mean, if you didn't put Chris Pratt in this movie, everyone would be super mad about it. So then I'm moving on. Actually, most of the guys are TV stars because I feel like a lot of TV stars are going to start doing movies because TV's kind of stealing the show right now. So I'll do John Krasinski next. John Krasinski's amazing. He's been on The Office for like 10 years or something. He's just hilarious. He's quirky. He's interesting. I feel like he has a range. And then I also pulled from the Community pool, and I went with Donald Glover because I absolutely love Donald Glover. His comedic timing is unreal. He's so fun to watch. I could just watch him do a show by himself for like an hour. And then finally, I went with T.J. Miller because I don't know if you guys have watched Silicon Valley, but he just kills it. And I think he's not underrated because I think everybody really appreciates him, but I think he's underused. And I would love to see him in a Ghostbusters movie for sure.
Fun cast so far. Trisha, let's see your lineup.
All right, if you're giving me the go-ahead to cast the dream team, this is my dream team. It's Martin Freeman,
Whoa.
Benedict Cumberbatch, Dwayne Johnson, and Robert Downey Jr.
Wow.
Right? Right? If you're giving me free reign of all of Hollywood, this is who I'm going with. I think that, much like Alicia said, it's how the guys play off each other that's so wonderful. And if this is a reboot and not a continuation, I think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let's not change the formula. We need 2 geeks, a slacker, and a guy who just needs a job. So I want to really embody what we love so much about the original Ghostbusters. And I'm a huge fan of Ghostbusters. I was going to marry Egon Spengler. Like, this is my jam. So I would say Martin Freeman because I feel like he really captures the lovable innocence of Ray, and you need that. I feel like Benedict Cumberbatch can certainly do the high intellect that Harold Ramis brought in the original. I feel like Dwayne Johnson takes no crap. The Rock takes no crap from anybody, so I feel like he would be a wonderful Winston-type character, funny and no nonsense. And Robert Downey Jr. is essentially our next Bill Murray. I mean, if you look at his sarcasm and the way that he plays things, I really feel like that would be a reboot to honor the original.
Wow, interesting. All right, guys, what do you think?
Well, I love seeing Trisha's team up there, but it looks insane to me.
I agree.
I cannot imagine The Rock and Robert Downey Jr. and Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman in the same movie and in the same scene. It would be amazing, but they're kind of, especially RDJ and The Rock, they they're stars, so I can't imagine them working together. They're kind of too different.
They're the two highest paid actors in Hollywood right now, and that shows the value that they bring.
I can't even imagine these guys in a room together. Like, I mean, here's the thing. I love all of them, every single one of them. And I think that I would definitely watch this movie. But I have never really seen any of them really interact with each other.
Besides Freeman and Cumberbatch.
Right.
Who are amazing
well,
together.
Of course, yeah.
Those two I can imagine together.
But Benedict, it's funny, I had a thought, like when I started casting this, I'm like, Benedict Cumberbatch? And then I was thinking, no, I think he's almost a little too stiff. So he'd be sort of like the Egon guy, right?
Yeah, he's an amazing actor, and we've seen in The Imitation Game how well he does high intellect. And I really feel like if you're going to be the Ghostbusters, it can't be all funny times and action, because you need the people to run the PKE meter. You need that.
This feels like a weird dream I had in this movie.
It would be a really, really awesome dream. A very, very cool
What do you think of Alicia's?
I thought Alicia's was good. Can I see the image again just to make sure?
We
Okay.
have
So,
Channing
yeah.
Tatum, Joel McHale, Michael Pena, and Bobby Monahan.
While we're bringing that up, I think this is a good cast for sure. I think this would make a solid movie. I wouldn't say it's the dream cast, only because some of those guys don't have a great movie track record.
Well, you've got the star with Channing Tatum, so that's why you can afford to cast people who deserve more of a chance on screen and have that great comedic talent. Because I think if you're weighing it too much with too many stars, then it becomes a problem. Is it a rock movie? Is it an RDJ movie? And also with the female version of Ghostbusters, I know they said very specifically they didn't want to recast those main male roles because they don't want it to be compared to the original. So I feel like if they were going to do a male Ghostbusters, they wouldn't want to substitute people for the original characters. They just want to start afresh, so it's a completely new universe.
I'm not saying recast the characters, but definitely keeping those same archetypes I think is a solid formula that shouldn't be messed with. And Bobby Moynihan, I think he's hilarious in the Lonely Island videos. He's great on SNL. But did you see Staten Island Summer? Just his movie track record right now.
That's why he deserves a
Isn't the
better
best.
movie with a great script.
I agree. He
And then
deserves a great movie, but I wouldn't
can
chance
bring
him on the
it.
next Ghostbusters.
He
It's
can
too
bring
high stakes.
I feel like there's too many comedic actors and then only one straight guy, and I feel like, I would watch this movie, but I also feel like Joel McHale he's awesome, but he can also be a little one note sometimes.
But I think he has that great sarcasm that he can do, and
does.
I'd love to see him do some more action. Like he'd be great.
And I would say, again, kind of the same thing as Bobby Moynihan with Joel McHale. Really funny on Community. Movie track record, not so good. There's Merry
has it in
Friggin'
him.
Christmas, and, just not so
It's
great.
going to be the new X-Files.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
let's see Chloe's list. I'd love your thoughts on Chloe as we wrap this out. And in Chloe's list was, for those listening, Chris Pratt, John Krasinski, Donald Glover, T.J. Miller, Alicia and Trisha. Thoughts on hers?
I almost cast Donald Glover in mine because I was thinking about him. My only thought against him was maybe a bit too young. So I was trying to cast them all kind of a similar age range.
Right. I almost went old at first too. I was going to put like Nathan Fillion and I was going to do all these different guys. And then I decided, like Hollywood would want a younger cast. So I kind of went a little bit younger.
Yeah.
Any issues? I'm not hearing issues.
Do I win?
Sorry. So T.J. Miller. Here's what I'll say against T.J. Miller. I do think he's hilarious in Silicon Valley. Absolutely. He's a little bit Russell Brand for me. And what I mean by that is he does one thing very well, and it will get overplayed very quickly. And I'm just saying that's my guess. But based on what I've seen him do, it's a very, very strong character that his sense of comedy is in a very Russell Brand way. But I feel like it could also be a very negative. That coin can flip very quickly.
And I like what John Krasinski is doing now, where he's moving away for the comedies. We just saw the trailer for 13 Hours, directed by Michael Bay, and it looks like, even though it's a Michael Bay movie, it looks fantastic. It looks like it's a very strong, dramatic role for him, so I'd love to see him do more of that instead of going back to comedy.
So you like my cast?
So apart from, I think John Krasinski should be more dramatic than comedy.
I would also say to Chloe's cast, who are your scientists?
Oh, who are my scientists? I would love to see T.J. Miller. Oh, you mean like, the scientists in the thing?
Well, in
Who's your
Ghostbusters,
Egon?
who would play
Who's
the
like-
Egon and the Ray? Who were the tech guys?
I think I would probably like to see T.J. Miller as a scientist because I feel like he would be kind of really funny because he's sort of a slacker, but it'd be really funny to see him be
He's just
super,
like a
super
savant.
smart. Yeah, exactly. To see him as a savant. And then let me think. Possibly John Krasinski. I would think maybe.
Okay.
I would think.
these guys.
All right.
Or Donald Glover, either.
This is tough. My catchphrase. Miss Movies, anything you need to add? I feel like there probably wasn't much lying there. It's just a casting.
You know what? I got into looking up like the highest paid actors because we had mentioned that, and Robert Downey Jr. is the highest paid actor currently this year.
With Dwayne The Rock Johnson as a close second, right?
No, the next actor on that list is Jennifer Lawrence, followed by Vin
Jennifer
Diesel.
Lawrence.
Vin Diesel, Fast
Vin
and
Diesel
Furious.
beat The Rock. I'm
Well,
so
he's
mad.
terrifying. He could just like look at somebody and they'll give him money.
So mad.
And there's also a statement out today from Ivan Reitman about this Ghostbusters
Yes.
being null and void.
So he's completely saying this isn't true.
Yes,
So this is a
correct.
complete waste of time.
Guys, we
is
can
it?
make it.
Absolutely not.
Wait,
Let's
wait,
keep
wait.
it
All
here.
Guy Ghostbusters isn't happening now?
Well, maybe he'll change his mind once he hears these casts. All right.
right.
What if we're the ghosts?
He
What if
has
we're
to
the
see
ghosts?
the image of my cast.
All right, time, ready. I'm making my ruling, and this was legitimately tough because I think there's something fun to all of them, but based on the points and based on the prep, and based on the fact that everyone said I don't think it's fair to throw one out because it's ridiculous. I feel like everyone was sort of really excited by yours, even though it's sort of impossible. But what put me towards the over the edge to give Trisha the point is I like the breakdown you did on the smart people and the comedic people, which I feel like you guys brought to last. And while you're right, you're right, you don't want to make it the same. She did verify that she doesn't want to be the same. She wants the archetypes. And I think if you're gonna make a Ghostbusters movie, you gotta borrow a little bit of the archetypes. And you need that Benedict straight stiff a little bit. You need the Egon.
It would be an
Needs
insane
to
movie.
play
And I
against
would
it.
watch it. For sure.
So as ridiculously impossible as it probably would be, I think I'm not going to let that be the lack of a point. So Trisha gets the point.
This is a unicorn of a movie.
As a huge Ghostbusters fan, if that's the only point I get today, I'm satisfied.
You got it. So
I'm
good.
satisfied.
All right, round two. Rogue Nation, Mission Impossible came out. I loved it. It was really fun. I'm still debating if it's my favorite. It might be, but I had a lot of fun with it.
favorite.
Everyone didn't get to see it, so we couldn't argue that really here. But I also thought that'd be kind of hard because it's really good. So instead, in order to talk about Mission Impossible, since we want to support that, and I support good action movies like that happening, we should see more of them, smarter ones. Each Mission Impossible has clearly had its own distinct visual style and a different director. And so Tom Cruise has already confirmed that they are developing Mission Impossible 6, and every time they pick some new, hot, fun director. So Movie Mike 80 asked us, who should direct the next Mission Impossible movie? MI6, I'm sure will happen very quickly. Let's assume they're going to do a new director again, someone different. Who should they pick? And this time we're starting with you, Chloe.
Okay.
Who would your choice be?
I absolutely love Duncan Jones. I think he's brilliant, and I think he's sort of an up-and-coming director. He did Moon, and everybody loved the hell out of Moon. And then he just did, and I'm totally spacing on the name.
Source Code.
Source Code, thank you. So
He's doing Warcraft.
He's
Yeah,
doing
he's doing
Warcraft
Warcraft.
next. So we'll see how well that one turns out. I have high hopes because I really love Duncan Jones. I think he's got an amazing vision. And I think he's got a really good personality. I think he's got a sense of humor, and I think he's incredibly smart with the stuff that he does. So I think he could take Mission Impossible and make it even smarter, if it's possible.
Interesting. Trisha, what's your pick?
I'm going to go with Joss Whedon. He has such a great history of fun and layered and multi-dimensional action content. I mean, everything from Buffy the Vampire Slayer to Firefly to more recently Avengers. Great track record, really, really fun stuff. I feel like it would be a very different feel than the other Mission Impossible movies, which is what they're always looking for, and that's why Tom Cruise chooses a new director for every MI film. And I would also say, yeah, it's great that he hasn't worked with Tom before. And I feel like that will add a layer of a completely new feel. Also, this may end up being the last Mission Impossible series. And to close out a series, I feel like you need something with heart, and I feel like that's something that Joss does really well.
Okay.
Alicia, what's your pick?
Well, Tom Cruise, I mean, he is very involved as a producer. He's not just an actor who's also a producer just for the hell of it. He is involved with every step of the process. And he loves to work with people he's worked with before, people he feels comfortable with. So I'm choosing Doug Liman, who he worked with on Edge of Tomorrow. Edge of Tomorrow was one of my favorite films from last year. I think it deserved to make much more money than it did. It's an underrated film. It's got great action sequences. It's got humor, it's got heart, and it's got a little bit of romance. And they're all elements that you see with the Mission Impossible films. Plus, Doug Liman also directed The Bourne Identity, so he's very used to the spy genre as well as Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So I would love to see, instead of Doug Liman, do Edge of Tomorrow 2, which is the rumor, and I think Edge of Tomorrow was just a nice self-contained story. I'd love to see him work with Tom again, but on Mission Mission Impossible 6. Because you're right, each of the movies do have a different feel, and that's why they have a different director, but they still have the overriding tone of the spy movie, and that is why he is a great director for this one.
That's my first retort was going to be, but Doug Liman's busy doing Edge of Tomorrow too.
It's like instead of that.
Yeah.
Thoughts? Let's hear the fights. Why not the other two?
Okay, my thoughts for Doug Liman is that I would worry that it would be Edge of Tomorrow 2 disguised as a Mission Impossible film. I feel like we've seen that movie before. It was very good, but let's see something different.
Edge of Tomorrow is a sci-fi, and Mission Impossible is a spy film, so they're going to be completely different.
And you did say he's made 2 spy films.
Yeah. So he's great at that genre, and Tom really likes to work with people he's worked with before, as we've seen.
Shoot, I don't really. Let me think about this, because I really did like Edge of Tomorrow. I do feel like it was lacking in a little bit of complexity, and I think that Mission Impossible is such a straight sort of franchise that it kind of really needs an injection of personality and interesting stuff. So I would almost go more Joss Whedon, but even that, I feel like I love Joss, but he's almost over the top silly, and I feel like there needs to be sort of a middle ground, right?
Okay.
And that's why I would go with Duncan Jones.
So my argument against Duncan Jones would be that he only has Source Code and Moon were both really good, but other than that, he's only done a short film, I believe. He has a short and then Warcraft coming up, which none of us have seen. If this is going to be the Mission Impossible to potentially close out the series,
Is that true?
No,
Can you look
I
that up
don't
for
think
me?
it will
Well,
be.
Tom Cruise says he'll do this character till he's 90, so...
it may be.
They said that it was going to be the last one.
Tom also says he's doing Edge of
think he
Tomorrow
says that every
too,
time.
and every movie he still says he's making a Top Gun too. So Tom has
That
a lot
is
of
happening,
sequels.
actually.
He's very ambitious.
Top Gun 2 is actually happening.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about that.
Well, and he's a very busy guy, and he's starting to get up there in his action hero roles, starting to get up there in age a bit. So we don't know. But I just feel like if this were to be the Mission Impossible to close it out, I feel like we'd want someone who has more than 2 films under their belt.
Well, I love Duncan Jones because Moon is one of
Yeah,
my
Moon
favorite
and Source Code
sci-fi
are great.
films. But he has such a great style that I think works so well with an original concept. I hate when you get these indie directors who are so talented and then you kind of force them into a franchise movie where they don't actually get that much opportunity to show style. Like each of the Mission Impossible films feel slightly different, but they still all are cohesive as a series. They're not like a crazy sci-fi, indie film amongst it. So you need the big action sequences, splashy. I mean, he's got to keep topping himself, Tom Cruise.
So to close out, and then what's your final thoughts on Whedon because I want to go down the line here.
Joss Whedon, I mean, I feel like he's great with Avengers and Buffy when he has the whole team to play off against each other, but he's more like splashy CGI, silly, fun, mindless entertainment at times, although I do like his humor. I'm going to get hate for that. I mean,
Firefly?
popcorn, great summer films, but I love the Mission Impossible movies because, as you said, Andy, they're really smart and they have this whole complex story behind them. He could do it for sure. I just can't imagine him working with Tom. It seems like a strange
That's
combination.
why it'd be so fascinating. It'd be something completely different.
I think Joss is really good at what he does. I don't know if he would be the best choice of director for it. I think he'd be an interesting choice of director, but there's no guarantee that film would turn out well. I feel like there's too many different variables that wouldn't end up working out.
I feel like there's never a
And
guarantee.
I got you. That's
true.
It's too complex for him, and sort of this is too silly. I get and then just give me one last closing for why you think Jones is going to give us the best one.
I think Jones is a new director. I think it's cool to give these huge films to new directors and see what they can do. And I think that, there is definitely a fear that the studio will be like, well, this is how you should do it. But I think Duncan Jones' vision is strong enough that it's going to supersede that.
And then Trisha, final thoughts from you?
Final thoughts on Joss Whedon. I think he has a history of just killing it throughout the years, and I would love to see him tackle this franchise.
Time. Missed movies. Anything to add while I go over my notes?
I do. J.J. Abrams directed the 3rd Mission Impossible film. That was his first feature directorial debut.
Wow.
So just wanted to put that up
Wow.
there.
Yeah.
Chloe does the
Brad-
victory
Brad
dance over
Pitt-
here.
Me wagging my
Bird's
tail.
first live action as well, no?
I will have to check on
Yeah,
that for
because he
you.
did Incredibles, Iron Giant, and I think this was before, because he only did this in Tomorrowland. Jason's nodding, I believe that's true. But not his first time movie, but first time feature as a live action. All right. Based on the arguments, I think I'm going to go with Chloe.
Yes!
It was close, but I think what you said is you did it the smart. You too complex for Lyman and too silly with Whedon. Someone in the middle and someone new. Those are the things that ultimately sold me, based on the arguments. And you both actually
complex, by the way.
It is, but
Boom.
that was a close one for me. You were close. I think they did both knock you out for Whedon, but it really came down to you two.
Yeah.
And then it was just about. We've seen him do it a bunch. The something new with a new voice was what I think was the strongest argument. That's the point for Chloe.
I got one. I'm
But
happy.
I was close because I do want to personally. I do want to see him do that instead of Edge Tomorrow too because I agree. Edge Tomorrow, if you haven't seen it, see it. It's fantastic.
It's great.
But don't make a sequel. It was good enough as a one movie.
And I
Round
don't think
3.
They're doing it.
And you were correct.
Okay.
That was Brad Bird's first.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
All right, round 3. Kevin Mulholson asked this fun question in honor of the new Mission Impossible movie. So fight number 3. What's the best movie starring Tom Cruise? Tom Cruise's best movie starring Mr. Cruise, who I'm a huge fan of. I think he's a great movie star.
Yeah.
And so, Trisha, what's your thoughts?
Okay, well, I'm so excited that you said there's going to be a Top Gun 2 because my choice is Top Gun. It is a movie that completely encapsulates the 80s in one film for us. It's super iconic to the point where people can recognize it by just saying one word. You say Maverick, you say Iceman, people know exactly what that is. The soundtrack was to die for. People are still singing those songs and using them over and over, and I feel like it really made a huge difference on cinema as we know it. I feel like the summer blockbuster was really the way for the summer blockbuster as we know it today was paved by Top Gun.
And Jaws.
Big.
Go ahead, Alicia.
The best Tom Cruise movie is, in my opinion, Born on the 4th of July, because this was the movie that showed what Tom Cruise could do as an actor. In the late 80s, he was a big box office star, but had yet to prove himself as an actor. Born on the 4th of July was his first Oscar nomination of 3, and Oliver Stone really cast him in an interesting way because the way he begins the film as Ron Kovic, he is very idealistic, patriotic, all-American good guy who just wants to go out there and fight for his country, and that's the kind of Tom Cruise we've seen before and since, but the transformation is what makes this movie so special. Halfway through the film, you completely have forgotten well into the film that it's Tom Cruise, which is hard to do because he is such a famous actor. He transforms. In the middle of the film, he is a heartbroken, disillusioned man. You feel so sorry for him. He comes back from the war suffering, and he doesn't know whether it was worth it. He doesn't know if his country lied to him, and at the end he has redemption. So it's such a great transformation. I rewatched this recently, and I know everyone talks about Platoon as being Oliver Stone's best Vietnam movie, but I think Born on the 4th of July has so much, and I think it's actually quite underrated because of the way it looks at the suffering that these young soldiers went through when they came back from the war. So that's why, for me, Born on the 4th of July is the best Tom Cruise movie.
Chloe, what's your pick?
Jerry Maguire, because I think Jerry Maguire is one of the, while Top Gun is the movie that most people like us might go, oh, Top Gun. Jerry Maguire is the movie that most of the U.S. would be like, that's Tom Cruise. And it's so much associated with Tom Cruise. And it is iconic. I mean, Show Me the Money. And I mean, it's sort of just lived on throughout cinema as one of the best films that has been made, right? Tom Cruise it was tough for me to really like Tom Cruise because I always felt there was some sort of stiffness about him, and I felt like Jerry Maguire actually made me really like the guy, and you got to see more of his heart and his personality and his soul. So yeah, I like Jerry Maguire.
Great. So fight.
Okay, I would say Jerry Maguire is certainly a great movie. But did it really change cinema? I mean, it did a good job with the rom-com genre for sure, but did it introduce anything new into the world of movies? Also, I would
Jonathan
say...
Lipnicki.
Yeah, of course.
Cute.
Love Jonathan
He's
Lipnicki.
adorable forever.
Hey, Jay Lip.
Have you seen him lately?
We're
He's
buds
still
on
cute.
Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's still cute.
He's ripped. He is.
really?
He's like an MMA fighter. Yeah,
I mean, right
we're
there.
buds.
There's my argument, Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire,
Sorry.
Jonathan
Rip Jonathan
Lipnicki
Lipnicki.
is
Not
ripped.
letting that sway my argument. Keep going.
But yeah, so I would say, did it really do anything to change the rom-com genre or leave its impact on cinema history enough to say that it's one of the greatest movies of all time? Also, there are certainly memorable scenes and moments in that movie, but with Top Gun, you remember the whole thing. Every scene is a memorable scene. That volleyball scene, come on.
I don't remember it that well.
You don't remember the volleyball scene that inspired thousands of GIFs across the internet? Val Kilmer, like,
Look, it may be a taste thing. So action movies are fun for me. I like action movies, okay. But I prefer sort of a study on a person, right? And I feel like Top Gun it's not really.
oh my God, it's the biggest character arc ever. He's on a journey to find himself.
Not as big a character arc.
Not-
as the
Let's hear you guys crap on that.
that scene in the VA hospital, that sticks with you. And it also has Tom Cruise yelling penis multiple times.
He's playing the penis game.
Yes.
I think that Tom Cruise, his performance is amazing in Born on the 4th of July. Potentially his best performance of his career. But the question is his best movie. And I feel like it really is a character study on him. But as a downside to that, the rest of the characters in the film are very two-dimensional and kind of not interesting. So when we're looking at the film as a whole, I don't know that it would be the best film, while I do agree that it is Tom Cruise's best
I disagree
performance.
that they're two-dimensional. I think it's filled with great characters, and he's the centerpiece that brings it all together. Top Gun is an iconic film, but I don't know how much it actually changed cinema. I mean, it's a great action movie, and it maybe inspired a lot of action movies afterwards because of its huge box office success. But you talk about blockbusters, you got to talk about Jaws and everything that came before Top Gun.
You've got a love story. You've got life and death. You have practical
really
effects,
fun.
action, no CGI. It's the best.
And then thoughts on Jerry Maguire, you two?
Jerry Maguire, it's one of the most quotable films and it's really well written by Cameron Crowe. But in terms of a Tom Cruise performance, I feel like he transforms a little bit, but not enough to make it stand out from all his other filmography. Like I would choose something like Magnolia before Jerry Maguire, although I love watching Jerry Maguire.
That was the other thing I was saying. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
Magnolia.
Jerry
Magnolia is very good as well.
Final thoughts from you against the other two?
Top Gun is great for me. It's an action movie. I already did this where I prefer sort of more about characters, and I think it's harder to make a movie without action. You know what I mean? To make an enjoyable, interesting movie without action. So that would be mine against Top Gun. And Born on the 4th of July, I haven't seen. So to be honest,
really good.
I haven't seen it, and I hadn't even really heard that much about it until today.
Oh, really? I love it.
But that's probably my own fault.
Well, and I would kind
Final thoughts, Trisha?
So final thoughts arguing for Top Gun.
Or just, in general, I'm about to close the gavel.
About to wrap it up, I would say what Chloe said about Born on 4th of July. The fact that a lot of people don't know it, and it is kind of a sleeper film, I think speaks volumes as far as movies that left their impact on the world of cinema. So I would say for Top Gun that it certainly did that. I've said that before. I think that it's a fantastic movie in that it encompasses that it's comprised of action that's no CGI. It was before CGI was available, so everything had to be practical effects. You're dealing with fighter pilots, and there's love, and there's a love story in it. There's death in it. It's a little bit of everything that you need in a huge film, and it made Tom Cruise a household name.
Time. Miss Movies, any final thoughts while I look at my notes?
Absolutely. One of these films has won Best Picture, which is Born on the 4th of July, which also won Best Director. Jerry Maguire, Best Supporting Actor for Cuba Gooding Jr., also nominated for Best Picture, and Top Gun got an Oscar for Best Music.
Kenny
This
Loggins
soundtrack
did.
is
so
amazing.
not-
It's like
I guess Kenny Loggins didn't do the music.
One long music video. Top Gun.
All right. The question is Best Movie starring Tom Cruise. And I think there were some fun choices here, but I think Alicia proved and sold why Born on the 4th of July is the best movie starring Tom Cruise.
Rewatch
and
it.
Definitely
seen it.
Chloe,
I'm
watch
ashamed
it.
that I haven't seen it. I'm ashamed.
It's not, don't be ashamed. There's a lot of movies sometimes you got to catch up on. But she's right. Born on the 4th of July is a fantastic movie. Check it out. They're all fantastic movies. But it really, the things you said were just spot on. Tom Cruise, that is what showed he can act.
Yeah.
And it's you don't expect him to do a movie like that. So all those things you said, I think just true pro home. And Alicia
job.
gets the point.
Maybe I need to rewatch it. I will rewatch. I will.
Round 4. Mission Impossible is the 5th movie based on 1966 based on the 1966 TV show. So Aces Tour 2010 on Twitter asked us, what star would you like to see remake an old TV show as a movie? So name the star, name the show. We're going to do quick pitches, and then we'll respond. Great. And this time we're starting with you, Alicia.
All right, one of my favorite TV show to film adaptations recently has been 21 Jump Street. I love the action comedy hybrid. So I was thinking on those lines, because I was looking at other sci-fi or spy TV shows that haven't been made into films, and I was like, nothing really stood out to me. So how about we bring back Knight Rider, starring the guy that can pull off talking to a tree, Chris Pratt.
Wow.
It would be really funny. It'd be interesting. Chris Pratt has the wit, he has the charm, and he has the action chops as well. And then for the voice of Kit, David Hasselhoff.
Oh, pretty good.
Get Lord and Miller involved if they're not too busy with the
They're not busy,
other
right?
little movie, and then have that same irreverent humor. And I think it could be really, really fun.
Huh.
I like the addition of Hoff
as the
Kit.
car.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
Chloe.
What year was everybody born in?
What?
What year? Well, okay, what decade were you born in? Were we? Is this totally rude? Like, okay,
80s.
80s. Okay, 80s.
Yes.
Yeah.
80s.
Early.
So I don't know if you guys grew up with Nickelodeon shows like I did.
Yes.
Do you guys remember The Secret World of Alex Mack?
I remember
No.
it, but I was more of a Clarissa Explains It All, which was the show that Alex Mack kind of replaced.
Which was a great show.
She
for
was
sure.
the T-1000.
That's right, she was. So,
Which we joked about in an honest trailer. That's how we actually remember that.
So I want to see Alex Mack again because it was such a beloved show. I went through all these different 90s shows and thought about which ones would be best made into a film. And so I went with Secret Life or Secret World of Alex Mack because it has the biggest, I feel like the premise is something that you could morph into like a really cool film, and Alex Mack would be Emma Stone. And the reason that I chose a 90s show over an 80s show is because we have so many 80s remakes, and it's time for the next generation to step in and start making remakes.
Get those remakes earlier.
Fun idea.
Got it. Love it. Trisha, what's your pick?
I'm going with Quantum Leap because it's awesome. But I will say more than that. I'm going with Quantum Leap, starring Jason Bateman. And the reason that I picked Jason Bateman is because I think that he has that very earnest kind of gee whiz. I think he does that very well that you need in Sam. And I picked Quantum Leap because there is so much potential for a huge blockbuster film here. I mean, how we saw in Forrest Gump, he meets Elvis. He does all these amazing things throughout history. It's that times infinity for Quantum Leap because it's time travel. We're dealing with time travel. We're dealing with fixing the problems of history. We're dealing with hilarious, awkward situations and a completely lovable character. There haven't been any movies in Hollywood that I've seen in the last, 5-10 years that have kind of had all of those elements in one, and I feel like it's a movie. It's not a movie we need, it's a movie we deserve.
All right, guys, what do you think?
I never watched Quantum Leap.
I didn't
So sorry for you,
Because I was
ladies.
never that interested in it.
I missed a lot of the 80s shows. Like, I'm at least familiar with Knight Rider because it's such an iconic show, right? And I know Kit, and I see Kit at all the conventions. We're buddies now. I think that idea is interesting, but I think that
premise for a movie.
the show wasn't really strong enough.
It had 4 seasons of between 22
And a remake
and
on
24
NBC, I believe.
episodes, so it definitely wasn't a failure.
No, I'm not saying it was a failure. I just think it was the
definitely
premise
interesting enough
isn't
for that many episodes.
I don't know if the premise of the show is strong enough to create a really interesting. I mean, this is going to be like a blockbuster movie, right?
It'd be a really fun comedy.
It could
raunchy
go
comedy.
well, but it could also just be terrible. And that's the same for a lot of films, right? A lot of remakes. But I feel like this one has more potential for failure just because it doesn't feel like, it's a guy in a talking car.
I think everyone said that about 21 Jump Street. Like, how is this going to be a movie with Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill?
But
And
that
so
also
that proves
could
that
have gone very poorly.
It could
and
have.
But
luckily
it didn't, and it was
luckily
great.
didn't.
So I love the idea of a Knight Rider. I love that show. I think your casting is amazing. My problem with bringing back Knight Rider is because of today's technology, it's just not relevant. We have cars that can drive themselves now. We have voice recognition
is it
and
more,
AI made
more relevant.
Well, it's
because of
something everybody
technology
has.
these days.
When Aunt Sally
So is it,
has
is it
a car that
Tesla?
already has Siri,
Like OnStar and
It's
stuff.
a Tesla
Well,
that
when-
drives itself down the highway, which is what
Well,
they're doing
Tesla,
now.
I think, is close to doing that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
exactly.
exactly. I mean, that's technology we have now. So watching a show about a car that your Aunt Sally drives, unfortunately, just isn't as good now as it was then. I
Films,
loved it in the
that's
80s. I think
incredibly
it's
true.
great, but
The
the
great
tech now
thing that-
blows it out of the water.
No, I think I'm not talking about we're using the same car from the show.
Well,
we're
obviously
updating the
not.
cars.
But still, but AI exists
and the
in
great
cars.
thing about that's the great thing about movies is when you can comment on what is happening in today's society.
So almost
especially
like
with
her.
But
AI.
they're just
Yeah.
going to turn this car into a
Exactly.
ridiculous machine. It's going to be like the Inspector Gadget of cars, and that's going to end up being.
necessarily.
It
Well, I
might end up being like a gimmick just because.
Well, and if we go so far as to say, okay, it's not just the tech that makes the car cool, it has a personality and it's a human, then we're getting into Herbie Fully
Herbie,
Loaded
yes, I was just gonna
territory,
say.
and that was not a great movie. So that
Tell me more about your Quantum Leap, because no one's hitting on it, but I just need to hear a little bit more about what that is as a movie.
So Quantum Leap, it's a buddy comedy that uses time travel to go back in time. I know you ladies haven't seen it, but basically what happens is Sam goes back in time and is constantly put in different situations where he needs to fix things
Yeah,
that
and
happen throughout history.
I know the basic premise, but what
So-
would the movie be? Would it just be him just traveling through time?
No, I would say
Does
that
he
we would
travel
How
through
many,
time
how
and,
many
like,
times does he
fix
go through in a
things?
movie?
I would say we would pick one big epic journey. It would
Okay.
be one big epic journey that he's dropped into in the beginning. It's his character figuring out why he's dropped into this, what he's supposed to do. I mean, it's kind of like Myst, the video game Myst in the beginning, where you have no idea and you go on the hero's journey with him to find out what his task is, overcome and accomplish that task. Meanwhile, the whole time we're doing this accomplishing task, it's sci-fi, it's holograms, it's hilarity, and a really lovable main character. And then they do something that's so amazing that it changes history before we're dropped back into life as we normally are, or we could follow the television show and be dropped
like-
into something
How does that
completely
sound to you
hilarious.
guys?
It's really
Mr. Peabody? Isn't that
It's
same
really,
thing?
it's really hard to argue with you because you're so enthusiastic.
She is.
Sometimes I'm enthusiastic about very bad ideas,
Well,
so keep that in
here's
mind.
the thing: I can see Quantum Leap being a great movie.
It's the sci-fi Forrest Gump.
It is the most expected out of all of the ones that we're talking about. I feel like Quantum Leap would be made before any of the other ones.
Every
But-
time they mention a rumor of it, people go nuts.
But I think with Alex Mack, which is a kind of obscure thing for, I think that it's going to be able to be marketed to younger kids, and younger kids would really enjoy the story. And I think that the people who are nostalgic would enjoy the story. And I think there are so many things that you could do with it. It's sort of an environmental story.
Give me something. What
relevant.
would you do with it?
Okay, so I mean, let's see. So Alex Mack. So you guys are familiar with the premise.
Yeah, she
It's a
turns
girl
into
who turns
puddles.
into a puddle because she's essentially radioactive, right? She has this weird sort of power. And the thing is, since she's so relatable as a character, as opposed to these like X-Men and crazy superheroes, she's just a girl, like a teenage girl that got given this power. So I feel like it would be a pretty fun, sort of simple story where she sort of falls into this weird situation. She has to figure out how to fight this giant corporation that's maybe dumping terrible stuff into, a river, and she has to sort of. I feel like it's a pretty simple story that you could do, but you could do so much more fun stuff with it. And having Emma Stone would really just amp up everything.
And comedy, okay.
It
And then,
sounds like a Nickelodeon film, like a film that Nickelodeon would make for their audience. And I love Emma Stone, but now in her career, I don't know whether she would do that kind of film. She's going so well with drama and Woody Allen films. I just can't see her going back.
Well, what
This
if we
feels
just
like
made
a
her do it?
smaller
Can we just
film.
make her do it?
It feels
Make
like
her.
a smaller film, not a big blockbuster.
Well, and
or
I just-
big drama.
And I feel like another superhero origin story where, I was in a chemical spill and now I have powers and I don't know how to deal with that. I feel like we've seen that movie plenty lately.
Well, darn it.
I'm gonna try and make a ruling because that was a complicated one. But Miss Movies, anything you'd like to add while I'm pondering?
There's a few things. Quantum Leap came close to being canceled in its third season, but then a letter writing campaign, actual letters written on paper with
80s.
pens, brought it back for 2 more seasons. Your Secret World of Alex Mack was the TV debut of Jessica Alba, so that's interesting.
Damn it.
Knight Rider has had 2 reboots. Team Knight Rider, which was only there for 1 season, and then Knight Rider they came back and decided, well, let's just call it Knight Rider. Maybe that'll work. Nope, 1 season, and that was it. So that's how it goes.
Let the underdog win.
So I'm
It's an
stuck
interesting
between
premise.
2. I'll open up my cards. Just sometimes the audience likes to know why I'm making the call. I think I think Quantum Leap and Knight Rider have an interesting debate. No offense.
No, it's okay.
And so where I'm stuck is I think there's something really fun about it because that show is great. I'm still not clear on what the movie is, but I know that wasn't really the task. And then yours is interesting. I think they're being hard on it because you're clearly arguing for a comedy about Knight Rider with Chris Pratt, like in 21 Jump Street. And I think that's how you probably could pull that one off if you're going to do it. So I like both of these. What took me over the edge is the casting, and I think you had better casting, and so I'm going to go with Alicia.
Knight Rider.
1 point to Alicia. So that's 2 points for Alicia,
2
1
points
point
for
for Chloe,
Alicia.
1 point for Trisha. Moving in to round 5.
Oh boy.
Tough. It is tough competition.
In honor of
Good
Vacation,
job.
the reboot of the sequel to National Lampoon's Vacation, which is opening this weekend, we want to ask, what's the best road trip movie? And this comes from Dave at Weird4 on Twitter, who asked us this. What's the best road trip movie? And we're starting with you, Chloe.
There are a lot of great road trip movies. I went ahead and said Little Miss Sunshine because it was one of my favorite movies the year it came out, and I was totally obsessed with it. It's really hard to write an ensemble movie, and they managed to do it with a lot of love, humor. I mean, I was riveted the whole time, wanting to see if they made it to the pageant. Like, the acting, the performances were all amazing across the board, and that's really difficult to get in an ensemble film.
Great ensemble film. Trisha, what's your pick?
I picked Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. You've got some top-tier comedy talent in there. It's a classic, and if you're looking for a movie that is a road trip movie, it is about transportation. We have every type of transportation in this film. So I think if you're going to say the best road trip movie, that certainly has to be up there. There's very relatable obstacles that the guys are dealing with. It's a situational comedy, so you mean you're laughing at their bad luck the entire time, but it's things that we all do, like hailing a taxi cab, or and so I feel like the fact that it's not super over the top in what the guys are having to deal with makes it a movie that everyone can just love and makes that perfect balance.
Alicia.
I'm going to go with a classic, and it's a movie that still holds up and one that changed the game for road trip movies, Easy Rider. 1969. This is the landmark counterculture movie. It was the indie movie which made $60 million at the box office. It showed Hollywood that they could look to these smaller experimental films and make money from them. It also helped to spark the American New Wave, which was the whole wave of new generation of young filmmakers in America in the 70s and early 80s. It also won a Dennis Hopper, the first film prize at the Cannes Film Festival. But most importantly, well, actually before that, I'll say it's got a killer soundtrack. It's fun to watch. It's a great mythic Western, in a way, Western on wheels, a motorcycle journey throughout America. It spoke to a whole generation. But one of the major reasons I love it so much, and another reason why it changed the game, was because of Jack Nicholson. This was a small role for Jack Nicholson, but he stood out so much that it gave him his supporting actor Oscar, his first ever Oscar, and he's someone who's won 3, so he's incredible. And that made Hollywood take notice of Jack Nicholson. From there, he did 5 Easy Pieces, and then he went on to have a brilliant career. So for all of those reasons, and for the fact that I watch Easy Rider at least once a year, and I still love it, I'm going with Easy Rider.
Easy Rider.
Wow, this is going to be a
good.
tough fight.
I
It is gonna
apologize.
be a
I'm
tough
bringing up
fight.
the cast of Little Miss Sunshine because it's such a large cast that I won't remember all of them. That's why.
Yes.
That's fun.
And I've got my notes.
Okay, so yeah, let's keep it on the task of why is it the best road trip movie? Because let's not just say best movie. Why is it the
Yeah.
best road trip movie? What
So
makes
hard.
it iconic? Because these are 3 great movies, so you're making it tough on me. But we'll start again back to Chloe. I guess you can start us. What compared to the other 2?
A road trip is a metaphor for a person's changing, right? And a road trip is a perfect setting for character arcs, and you don't get more character arcs than you do in Little Miss Sunshine. Everybody starts at one place in the film at the beginning and then completely ends up in a different place at the end of the film. You fall in love with all of the different people, and you watch this poor boy lose his dream of becoming a pilot, and it breaks your heart, and there's just so much relatability. You can find someone in the cast that you relate with the most, and I feel like it just speaks to everybody. And as a road trip film, you get to see a lot of America. It's beautifully shot. It's cinematically gorgeous. So there's my argument.
I
Trisha?
love that movie. I think it's a great movie. I would argue against the fact that you can relate to every character. I think that the characters were a little bit quirky and a little bit out there.
Not
and that's
every
what makes it
character.
so funny.
But one person, you can find somebody you relate to. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, you can
Not
find
every
one person. Yeah, that's what I'm like. The characters are so out there that it's hard to make that assumption. And as far as the character arc, I agree with you. A road trip is 100% about a character arc, which is why when you look at Steve Martin's character in Plane, Trains, and Automobiles, he literally does a full 180. And I don't know if everyone has seen it, but spoiler alert.
Everyone go see it.
Everyone go see it. Spoiler alert. It is a full, like, the opposite extremes. And that's the point and the lesson of the film. So as far as taking that character arc, I feel like road trip movies in general need that to be a solid road trip. So I don't know that you can say that's an advantage there for Little Miss Sunshine.
Yeah, they definitely need the journey, and I think all three of our films have the character
Right.
journeys, and they also need to show off the landscape and iconic America, and that is very much shown in Easy Rider. And Roger Ebert did a review of Easy Rider, 4 out of 4 stars, saying that it changed the whole genre of the road trip movie because it showed that it could be a legitimate art form. So not only is it fun to watch, does it have all the elements of a road trip movie, but it actually paved the way for things like Little Miss Sunshine and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Calling it. You all had your points. Miss Movies, thoughts? Anything you need to add, or can I call this?
You can call it.
It's tough because I love all these movies, and I really, 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 really love your movie, but I think Alicia gets it just out of
I agree with your decision. I would have given it to Alicia.
I was trying to find some holes, but your closer really closed it, and you got that point.
That was great.
But Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, see that movie, guys.
That's great.
It's a great movie.
I cry at the end every time.
It's so good.
It's a great holiday
adorable.
film
Watch it
as
around
well.
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving movie, yes. Great Thanksgiving movie. Probably the
Taught
best.
me about Thanksgiving.
It's such a good time.
Those aren't pillows. Round 6.
Yeah.
So for our final round here, Hugh Jackman has asked fans on Twitter this last week to help decide how his 15-year career as superhero Wolverine should come to an end. He received over 10,000 retweets. So DJ CHJ17 on Twitter asked us for round 6, pitch the final Hugh Jackman Wolverine movie. We want the basic plot, a villain, and a title. How do we want to see Wolverine go out? This is an epic one. I'm excited to hear this. And we're going to start with you, Trisha.
Okay, I'm super stoked about this. So this is roughly based on the Enemy of the State comics, if you know any of the Wolverine backstory. So it's kind of Enemy of the State meets Becoming from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Here's how it works. So Logan is brainwashed by Hydra and goes on a killing spree against all of his friends and allies, just tearing everybody up, and Professor X and Magneto are like, we need to stop this. However, Professor X is like, no, Logan's great, there's a good Logan in there, we can bring him back. Whereas Magneto's just like, we can't kill any more mutants, this absolutely has to end. So they kind of team up, but are taking different means to get there. And just as Professor X is able to bring Logan back, all of the adamantium is ripped out of his body by Magneto, and he dies. So there's a super dramatic thing. So that's the Becoming Buffy the Vampire Slayer moment. If you haven't seen that episode, watch it. It's amazing.
Someone likes Joss Whedon.
Yeah. But I mean, so so really your villain is Logan. Your villain is Wolverine, which is a nice new way for us to see him. And he's super badass, so he'd make an amazing villain. And then you get that drama, and I mean, it's going to make everybody cry at the end when he's finally like good Logan again, and then it all gets ripped out of his body. And for the title, I'm going to steal. I'm going to steal Becoming and say the title is Wolverine Becoming Legend.
Nice.
Oh boy.
All right, good start, Alicia.
All right. My title is simply Wolverine, Old Man Logan. Old Man Logan is the one
Like Old Man River.
Old Man Logan is the storyline that so many fans want to see, and it's also the storyline that Hugh Jackman has teased multiple times. But if you read the comic series, then you know that they have Hulk's in there, and Hawkeye, and all these characters that Fox don't have the rights to. So much like the Wolverine behind you, take elements of the different comic series and put it together. So mine also has elements of Enemy of the State. So it's set far in the future. It's way past all the timelines storylines so far of X-Men. Logan is living with his family and he's vowed to put the claws away. You realize that through a series of flashbacks and dream sequences that he has been brainwashed in the past, captured, brainwashed by Gorgon, who is the villain in this, and tricked into killing a lot of his X-Men. So he's one of the last remaining X-Men. He's tormented by this, and that's why he vows to put the claws away. He's living with his family, but he's running out of money. So he accepts, much like in Old Man Logan's storyline, he accepts a delivery job, but it's not what it seems. It's a way for Gorgon to get Logan away from his family, and he can take ultimate revenge on him and kill his family. Logan comes, that was pretty dark. Logan comes back to his house and he sees that his family has been killed and he gets angry. He goes out to find Gorgon. Meanwhile, one of his family members is still alive, Dakin, his son. So Logan goes off to fight Gorgon. He discovers that Gorgon is trying to become a darker version of Wolverine. Big fight, kills him. Dakin comes to find his father. He's angry at his father because he thinks that his father abandoned them. He comes to the aftermath of everything. He sees that Logan has gone against his promise. He's unleashed his claws. He's killed everything. He's then gone off again by himself with a lot of grief. So Dakin sees what Gorgon was up to and decides to become Dark Wolverine. And that's where it ends. Does that make sense?
Yes. It's just there was a lot. I like it. Chloe.
I did a lot of research.
You did.
This is gonna be tough. Geez. Okay, so I'm not super familiar with the Wolverine storylines. I'm just recently getting into comics, right? Okay. So here's my original story about Wolverine.
Your own original story.
It's my own original story.
Oh, okay.
So Wolverine, he's in a small town in France, right? And he basically really wants to help feed this family. So he goes and he steals a loaf of bread and he breaks a window and he ends up going to jail for about 19 years. So he's in jail for 19 years. He's miserable.
Is this
he's
Les
depressed.
Mis?
What? No.
That's how Les Mis starts?
Is that the musical?
Hugh Jackman's done that movie.
Yeah, sorry.
So, okay, I don't know if I've heard of Les Mis. So he's in jail. He tries to break out, and basically the sentence gets longer and longer. And essentially, he basically makes this enemy out of Sabretooth, right? Sabretooth is his guard, right? So he takes off. Essentially, Sabretooth lets him go. He has to go because it's been 19 years or whatever. So he runs off, and he essentially starts building his own factory. He basically industrializes the small town that he lives in, right?
Got it, okay.
And so...
What year are we in? Just on my head.
Let's go with...
Future?
2007 or something.
Okay,
Why not?
got it.
So while he's at this factory, this girl, Jean Grey, so she gets fired for no reason, and he feels so terrible about her getting fired that he agrees to help her by taking in her daughter, which is Jubilee.
Oh, okay.
So he takes in Jubilee and basically raises her as his own.
I
mean, the story's really long. I can, if you want.
There's probably like a war at some point, right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's a
is
Wolverine
there any
story.
singing?
Chloe, I love you so much. You just gave the plot of Les Mis. You need to see Les Mis. I love you so much. I'm like, this is a joke.
Purpose.
This is a joke. She's kidding.
Is there any singing?
Every plot point. No, I'm not even kidding.
No.
Really? You're coming over my house and we're watching Les Mis. But Les Mis.
I kind of want to watch it.
Les Mis recast with the X-Men. I mean, cool
I have
idea.
another story where it's Wolverine lives in an abandoned theater, and he lives under the theater. Okay, sorry. Okay, continue. I'll let you guys.
First,
I'll let you guys fight this.
You're
or not, and then I thought this is brilliant.
Chloe, you're my favorite.
Let's not throw it out. We might want to watch that.
Don't throw it out. You're my favorite.
Sing and dance?
Please.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
I mean, it's
though,
Hugh
with
Jackman, so.
That he could hurt someone with the dance moves.
I'm sorry I spoiled the joke too early. All right.
You sold it so well.
She
was
did. She's like,
amazing.
wait, no.
I've never heard of Les Mis. I'm not sure what you're talking about. That is so funny.
This
You
is the
should
best
get
movie fights moment ever.
all
I
the
think.
all the
Ever.
points. All the points.
All right, so we have the musical Wolverine,
Yeah, I love it.
and then we have Old Man Wolverine, and we have Enemy of the State Wolverine. Thoughts on which ones excite you the most? Aside from your own.
Oh, aside from your own.
Well,
Mis Wolverine.
Les Mis sounds awesome.
I'm very surprised that went over so well.
That was great. You just sold that perfectly.
I mean,
It's very
it's a
serious.
classic story. It's a classic plot that has been.
Well, she believed you the
And
whole
it's tried
time.
and
She
true.
really thought
Yeah.
you also didn't know she was doing that on purpose. That was my favorite part.
I love that you. I love that.
It took me a while to
Because
realize
you thought
that
she
was
just
it.
did that by accident.
That's
She
what
didn't
made me
plan that.
crack was that she's like, you should see Les Mis.
I'm the most gullible person in the world. But
Everyone's
that's
so
okay.
confused. So we have we have Les Mis version of Wolverine.
yeah.
We have Old Man Wolverine, and we have. So what do you
We
think?
should just go with Les Mis. I think she should just get the point. You know, I think that's
Les Mis Wolverine is hilarious.
point.
That's absolutely hilarious.
'Cause that's just the best
Okay, I'm gonna take it back.
Last
to movie
chance,
fights.
otherwise we're gonna
I'm
go
gonna
with
take
Les
it back.
Mis.
Go with Les Mis. Do it.
For
Go with Les Mis.
Alicia's, so does Logan actually die in yours? I was a little unclear.
No, he goes off to the
And
sunset. I don't want to see Logan
He just
die.
decides to stop being Wolverine. Like, what makes him just decide he's done now?
He stops being Wolverine at the beginning because of what happened in the past, and that's the Old Man Logan storyline. So he becomes Wolverine again at the end when he's having the big fight sequences, and then he's really upset at himself, and off he goes. And so it could continue the adventures of Wolverine with someone else if you wanted to. I just don't want to see Wolverine die, especially not Hugh Jackman. You love Hugh Jackman.
I think you gotta finish out
He's
the
such a likable
storyline.
guy that you just want, and I don't think they want to kill off Wolverine completely because he's such a loved character.
Well, it's the comics. There's multiple
They can
universes. We can
recast
bring him
him.
back later.
It's pretty cruel to
In the
kill a dog in
future.
a movie, and I feel like Wolverine's kind of like he's
like
a dog. He's a
I don't
wolf.
know. I feel
Wolverine.
like
Well,
so
Wolverine's
likable. And
not-
also,
not a
question:
dog, but-
does Fox have the rights to Hydra?
No, so the reason that I only brought Hydra in the beginning, which was another thing I was going to bring up, because you're crossing a lot of rights and legal there too.
Yeah. Well, I'm sticking with Fox. Otherwise, I'd go for Hulk and I'd go for Hawkeye.
Try
as
to.
well.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were bringing everybody in. I thought you had said that. Yeah, I mean, so you can tease Hydra. Also, there's many different Hydra agents. You don't need to cast the same actors. You know, much like we saw with Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
You know, you can
I
recast
think it
someone
gets
else or use a different Hydra agent.
confusing because they are separate properties, even though they're Marvel. They're completely separate.
Well, that's what happens in Enemy of the State. That's the storyline.
Yeah.
It is Hydra and Enemy of the State.
But
So
that's like-
there is no Hydra though in this universe. So, or are you creating a different? Are we creating a fake Hydra?
There's none. in the
Because
X-Men
Marvel
universe.
MCU.
we can't use it
I
at all.
think-
Even because I mean, Scarlet Witch was used twice. Quicksilver was used twice.
All right, so let's
It's her
assume we
movie.
can. Okay, maybe we can.
Jason's shaking his head no in
I
there,
don't
but
think
I'm
you
thinking
can.
as long as you do it differently, it's okay.
I
You have
don't
to
think so.
I like
Call it.
at the
something
idea
else.
at the end when he becomes Dark Wolverine. I think that's kind of a cool. weird
Okay,
way
so
to end
if we're gonna take out Hydra, we'll use another government entity, and we will just say that a government entity that's put out there to stop mutants in general.
All right, I'm calling this one for sake. Anything to add, Miss Movies?
Yes, I had a little bit of prep before this,
Yes.
so I knew, you
Yes.
know, kind of the
Where they were
general.
going?
And I had written to Jason, "Is that the plot of Les Mis?" And I also want to make sure that we don't confuse Enemy of the State with the 1998 film.
Yes.
Will
With Will
Smith.
Smith.
Good
Good
call.
movie.
Very
Which is
different.
good.
You could mash that one up too.
Anything else?
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Okay,
Very different.
here's where I'm stuck. That was really funny.
So funny.
I don't know if I can give you the point for being funny.
That's fair.
So I'm going based on year 2,
It's funny.
and I feel like they both sort of won me over. And do we really want him to die?
No.
Yeah.
And we don't want him
You
to be a
gotta-
villain
well,
either.
it's
And
the
it's
comics,
such a
so
mean
there
way
can
to
be
go
more-
out.
Oh, but that's the only way you
So
can
I'm
kill
going to give it
Wolverine.
to Alicia.
Oh, winner, chicken dinner.
He's up ahead by a lot now.
Yeah.
What that means is I'm going to give Chloe a shot, and Trisha now we're doing a quick tiebreaker here to see who's going to make
Alicia,
it
you're a beast,
to go
man.
into the final round. But
I
this is
have
going to be
to
a
do a lot
tough
of
speed
research
round
for Adam's book
because
stuff.
she's up by 3. So
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough speed round.
we're going to go to a quick tiebreaker question. Before I do that, though, I wanted to make sure I thanked someone specifically. These 2 posters behind us. That was thanks to Calvin Hoskins on Twitter. That's Super Cal. Thank you, dude, for sending your awesome posters. We're going to put them on the wall. If the rest of you want to send posters, I'm just going to put an address in the description of this episode. Go ahead, send us posters and toys. We're starting to collect your things because everyone wants to send us stuff. Like, sure, we'd love to display your toys prominently on our shows. So just thanks, Calvin, for that. That was very nice of you to send a bunch of cool posters and the rest of you. So this is a tiebreaker. This is for Trisha and Chloe.
Yep.
And here we go. Tiebreaker question. We test this. We rehearsed this earlier, so you guys know how this works. Whoever says the answer first gets to choose that answer. The other person has to pick the second answer.
Oh, there's music.
This
Okay.
is one.
Yeah.
This is just one chance, and then you go into our speed round. These two movies are in the bargain bin. Which do you buy? Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls or Dumb and Dumber 2?
Dumb and Dumber 2. Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls.
You said Dumb and Dumber 2.
No, I didn't say the whole title. I said Dumb.
You said Dumb and Dumber 2. I think you gotta go with what you
Okay.
said.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
I think that's I'm rolling that. Is that
Okay,
fair to
if
everyone over
that's
there?
the
I'm getting
rule,
nods.
if that's-
once you because otherwise that's not fair to her. You can't just say one and change it.
Okay, so I
So you're
said
Dumb and Dumber
yep.
2. So stay confident, and you're Ace Ventura:
Ventura.
When Nature Calls, Part 2. So you said it first. You get to go first, Trisha. Ready? Time of the clock. 15 seconds. Go.
Dumb and Dumber 2 because it's going to make you recall all of the excellence that was the first Dumb and Dumber, which was such an amazing movie. You could rank it up there with me. It's one of my top 3 favorite comedies of all time. So just relating back to that is enough to make it a better bargain choice than Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls.
You're arguing about a movie that's not the movie that you picked, which is Dumb and Dumber 1, which is a great film. Dumb and Dumber 2 is a different film. And then Ace Ventura is an amazing character who's fun to watch throughout the film, in any film, because it's Jim Carrey.
5-second rebuttal for Trisha on the clock.
5-second rebuttal.
Go
He
ahead.
is not great to watch in any film. Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls is a perfect example of that.
Wow. That's tough. I'm going to call Jason in to help me make this ruling on the tiebreaker and Miss Movies. I want to call this fairly.
The wrong movie.
I'm going to call this fairly because I do think it had it. I am going to go with Chloe. Yes. But I want to make sure I'm not in a minority here. I want to make sure this is a fair battle. Miss Movies, based on the arguments, who would you have picked?
I just didn't hear enough about When Nature Calls, personally. So I would pick Trisha.
Chloe.
Okay, it says Chloe. Jason says Chloe.
All right. So there was a little. It was tough. So I want to make sure we take the right person in. 2-1. Chloe got the vote. You're going to the finals. Wow.
That's going to be a tough speed round.
Can we have another pee break?
No.
No speed round. Use it.
Sadly,
Use
we
it.
can't pause this recording.
Damn it.
We're going to move very quickly, though. All right. Tiebreaker is decided. That does not give her a point on the boards. Okay. So the final score here we have is 4-1. So you need to really get these 3 in a row to do this. So they're going to help me to make sure we're on top of this.
Okay.
Round is tough.
Let's cue the speed round.
All right. Oh, tits. Sorry.
Question 1.
Can I say tits?
Tell me Hollywood's best George.
George Clooney.
Oh, George Costanza.
Okay. I guess I'll accept that. Yeah, it's a character. Okay. We didn't define it, so I'll let you have the character. Clooney versus Costanza. Go. 15 seconds.
George Clooney has proven not only is he a great actor, but he's also a great director. I love to see him behind the camera as well as in front of the camera. He's not just a good-looking guy. He can play a multitude of roles, and he's been on TV and he's been in movies, and he's just so damn charming.
Oh, God. Okay.
George Costanza. 15 seconds on the clock, and go ahead.
Okay, George Costanza is one of the most iconic characters. He's on Seinfeld. He's loved and hated simultaneously. He's a polarizing figure. He's hysterical, and everybody knows about George Costanza. They quote him, and he will be quoted for the rest of time.
5-second rebuttal.
He's only been in one TV show.
It's because he's a character.
I did think you brought a pretty good
We
fight.
should make a Seinfeld movie.
Yes.
Can we go back to that
You
one?
did give a good, valiant effort, but Clooney gets the point.
That's fair. And I lost, right? Is
No,
that okay?
I don't think so. Not yet.
Okay.
She needs to get all the next ones, right? So
Okay.
if Alicia gets this next point, she wins, correct?
Okay.
If Chloe gets the next 4, she goes to a
George
tiebreaker.
Costanza?
So you need to get 5 in a row, Chloe. It has been done, or pretty close to been done, surprisingly. So
Yeah.
don't rule it out.
Okay.
And I'm not good under pressure.
I know.
Terrible.
These 2 movies are playing on cable. Which should we watch? Super 8 or 8 Mile?
Super 8.
Oh, all right, 8 Mile. Let's go 8.
I heard Super 8.
Yeah.
You have a minute to think. Go ahead. 15 seconds on the clock. Go ahead.
Okay, Super 8 is J.J. Abrams' love letter to the movies that we grew up with, like E.T. and The Goonies. It also had a great Hitchcockian feel in that it didn't reveal the monster till much later. It spoke to the nostalgic part of adults as being kids and also love of movies.
I'm screwed. Okay.
15 seconds. Go.
8 Mile starred Eminem, and no one expected this movie to actually be good, but it was actually fantastic. I mean, the whole story arc and sort of getting a look into Eminem's life, which is Eminem is a character that most people didn't take seriously. He's a character. Darn it.
5-second rebuttal.
He's a great actor, but he was great in that film, but he's not a movie that I would rewatch over and over again where I feel
You
super
added a
great.
little
Love
extra.
it.
I want to give you 5 seconds. Anything else you want to add about the movie? Because she did go off book.
It had great music, it had great characters, and great acting.
I was waiting for you to bring up the music. I'm glad you did. I'm going to bring in Trisha. You're going to help me decide this. Miss Movies again. I think you did prove. I think I'm going with Chloe on 8 Mile. And if you didn't say the music, you were going to lose, but you brought the music in, which was a key point. Trisha?
I was going to go with Super 8 because of the throwback to Goonies and the throwback to the movies we grew up with.
And so, Miss Movies, you're the deciding vote here. Who do you pick? Based on the arguments.
I'm gonna go with Chloe.
8 Mile still in. Okay.
Still in.
Oh my
I
god.
think you did. It's throwback, but
Was that a pity
a
point?
little bit more about the performances and things. I think you did call, and the music. You did give me a little bit more. All right, so she's still on the board. Next up,
Jesus. Come on,
tell me
ladies.
the best movie with the word time in the title.
Time Bandits.
Oh, time. Why do I go blank during this? The Land Before Time.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Time Bandits versus Land Before Time. Time Bandits is up first. Chloe, 15 seconds. Go ahead.
Time Bandits is a lovable movie that still holds up. There's amazing characters, there's amazing people, there's amazing effects. They're all practical effects, and well, not all, but most of them are practical effects. And the characters, and you have Terry Gilliam, who's an amazing director, and it just all came together to make this one great movie.
Alicia, 15 seconds. Land Before Time.
I grew up watching The Land Before Time, and I remember collecting all the toys from Pizza Hut. It spoke to me so much. The dinosaurs, the characters together, the journey, and I feel like it's something that colored a lot of people's childhoods, and it's a loved movie. I watch it again, and I still love it. Sorry.
So Terry Gilliam is mostly made stuff for adults, but finally made something that everybody can enjoy, and it turned out to be fantastic.
Separate points. So I'm gonna if you have anything else to add, you're allowed. Really quickly, one last point.
Oh, Time
Did I do it
Bandits. Oh, to bet Land Before
Yeah,
Time.
she didn't do rebuttal, so I'm giving you.
sorry,
Make
sorry,
sure
sorry.
it's fine.
I just think Land Before Time is such a great childhood film that I still love. Time Bandits is fun, but it's actually kind of scary.
Good.
Not for kids. I went blank in my mind.
This is tough. I'm definitely going to activate you two to help me with this one. Miss Movies, I'm going to start with you this time. Based on the arguments, who do you think made a better job?
It's Land Before Time all the way. So,
Trisha?
Alicia.
See, and I was going to say Chloe because for Land Before Time, you didn't mention that it spawned all those sequels.
Yeah, I should.
That's what I was waiting. But the Pizza Hut toys was solid.
who are you voting
but still,
for?
I would have gone with Terry Gilliam and Chloe.
So it's up to me. I'm going to Chloe. I gave you a little bit more of the points. And while the Pizza Hut toys was close, based on the
Just
movie
went
things,
blank with the
it was
time.
close. I love that movie, but it was on the fence for me. Wow, she's still in this.
Still in.
You have to do 2 more, and that takes you to a tiebreaker. So you have to win 3.
Wow. And I need to pee, so let's wrap.
Number 4.
My mouth is dry.
Ready? Ready? Here we go. Music, please.
water.
If we can hopefully play the music again. Ready. Best movie starring Kirsten Stewart.
American Ultra, which hasn't come out yet.
I will go with On the Road.
Shit.
Okay, so we have American Ultra, which is a trailer we're going to base it on. Sure, that's fair. And On the Road. And go ahead. American Ultra was first, so you have to go first.
I've seen a lot of American Ultra. I'm biased because my friend wrote it, but basically it's the first movie we're going to see Kristen Stewart in where she's actually has a really legitimate, interesting character, a really interesting role, and I believe that she's going to pull out this amazing thing that we haven't seen in her before.
I disagree that we haven't seen it before because she's shown in movies like On the Road that she has the acting chops. I think Twilight is the exception, not the rule when it comes to her career. On the Road, obviously based on the great Jack Kerouac novel, she pulled off that character perfectly. And talk about road movies, that's a fantastic road movie. Plus, she's two-hand job.
I screwed myself.
Wow.
Screwed myself.
Careful, don't make that a GIF, people.
I shouldn't have done.
Go ahead, Chloe, last second.
I think it's going to be amazing to watch Jesse Eisenberg and Kristen Stewart get together in this really amazing comedy drama.
She went off book. I don't think you need it. I
Yeah, we
think
don't
On the
know.
Road.
Yeah,
I think
I
sadly,
screwed
On the Road.
On the
I
Road.
screwed up.
On the Road takes it. You were so close, but almost came from behind.
Yeah.
This is-
Alicia takes another win on her belt. Wow.
Man.
Good
6
job,
to 3 to 1.
ladies.
Wow, that was
Thought I
fun
was
though.
gonna
She's
lose that
tough.
then. It was so good.
All I could think of was Twilight, and I'm like, can't say that.
No.
Can't say that.
Well, I
been
am
on the road.
grateful to all of you for doing a fantastic show. I had so much fun listening to you. That was a very hard one for me to do to judge because you all brought it. So thank you for taking it seriously and bringing the heat. Fantastic job. I want to thank you all at home for watching. Please go tell us in the comments, as always, what you want to see, what fights you want us to do, who you want us to have up here and fight. We listen to you. And obviously, always subscribe on iTunes and on YouTube if you're listening there. I want to thank our panelists, Alicia Malone, at Alicia Malone on Twitter. Anything else you'd like to tell the audience?
You can also find me on YouTube. Movies Are My Jam. That's my title.
Cool. Movies are her jam. Check it out. And Chloe Dykstra at Skydart on Twitter. Anything else you'd like to tell us about?
I'm youtube.com/skydart. I'm Skydart pretty much across the board, so come visit me.
Cool. Please visit her. And then Trisha Hershberger at That Girl Trish, GRL Trish.
Yeah, at that girl Trish, no I in the girl. Or you can check me out youtube.com/nerdychick5.
Yo, Trish, that girl with the I in the girl. Like, come on, this is the real That Girl
I am the
Trish.
girl.
Can you hook her up with your Twitter?
I
Come
feel
on.
so bad for that girl Trish.
Come on,
with
That
an
Girl
I.
Trish, hook her up. Didn't mean to start flame war.
That's okay. No, it's not a flame war. It's intense feel battery that I have for her.
And on the fan cam, thank you. You did a fantastic job, Miss Movies at Miss Movies. Thank you for stepping in here to help us out.
Thanks for having me.
Did you have fun?
Of course.
Awesome, and I can't wait to have some more of that fudge. That was so nice of you to bring. And please follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all those things at Andy Signore. Please tell me how much you love or hate me. I love it all because it means you care, and that's the most important thing to me. Jason and JT, thanks in the booth. Thanks to everybody at home. See you next week.
Bye, guys.
Every podcast we put on YouTube comes with this kick-ass graphic listing all the topics your favorite Screen Junkies podcasters are talking about. If you click the topics, you can skip around and choose your own podcast battle royale. Go ahead, try them all. If you haven't already, subscribe to Screen Junkies on YouTube to join us for future fights. Or if you prefer to listen on iTunes, click the logo to download an audio version.